Live from New Delhi, watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour. Zelenskyy says Ukraine ready to hold new elections, will send revised peace proposals to Washington within a day. Australia ban on social media for children under 16 kicks in with varied reactions. PM Albanese says it will protect their childhood. Cambodia vows fierce response in ongoing dispute with Thailand. Thailand says Cambodia would have to show sincerity and make the first move to de-escalate. Government orders IndiGo to cut flight operations by 10%, aimed at stabilizing the airline's operations and reducing cancellations. In cricket, India crushed South Africa by 101 runs in Cuttack to go 1-0 up in the 5-match T20I series. In the latest update on Russia-Ukraine conflict, Ukraine is to present a revised peace plan to President Donald Trump's administration on Wednesday after weeks of negotiations which have failed to produce an agreement. In an audio message, Zelenskyy said a revised peace plan now contained 20 points, though there was still no agreement on Russia's demand that Ukraine surrender occupied territory, which has become the major sticking point in negotiations. He said new components of the deal hashed out with the British, French and German leaders in London on Monday are ready for US review. The comments after meeting European and NATO leaders.
We are talking to the Americans and we are already talking to the Europeans, and I am very glad that we have involved our European partners. There are 3 documents. The first document is 20 points. It is constantly changing. This is normal. It is a living structure that should be of interest of Ukraine, Europe and the world. The second document is security guarantees. We are working on it. I am waiting for the appropriate proposal from our military and from their dialogue with the American. And all this need to be combined with the principle of collision of the willing.
President Zelenskyy also said he was ready for elections, calling on US and European partners to help ensure security for the poll during the conflict, adding that if security is guaranteed, the elections could be held in the next 60 to 90 days.
I am ready for the election. Moreover, I ask now, and I declared it openly, the United States of America to help me, including together with European colleagues, ensure security for the election. And then the next 60 to 90 days, Ukraine will be ready to hold the election. And I personally have the will and readiness for this. Next, since this is the case, I ask the deputies of the parties in principle or MPs to prepare the legislative proposal on the possibility of changing the legislative basis and the law on election during the martial law. I'll be in the Ukraine tomorrow. I expect proposal from my partners. I expect proposal from our deputies, and I am ready to go to the elections.
President Zelenskyy met with Pope Leo in Rome on Tuesday. At the meeting, the Zelenskyy sincerely thanked the Pope for his prayers for Ukraine and its citizens, as well as for calls for a just peace. In a post on X, he said he informed the Pope about diplomatic efforts with the United States to achieve peace. He also added that he had invited the Pontiff to visit Ukraine. While Pope Leo stressed the need to continue with dialogue aimed at just and lasting peace, during the meeting, the Vatican said in a statement. Following the meeting, Pope Leo, Zelenskyy held talks with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and said on social media that his country and Europe will soon be ready to present the US with refined documents on a peace plan. Australia has become the world's first country to ban social media for children under the age of 16, blocking them from platforms including TikTok, Alphabet's YouTube and Meta's Instagram and Facebook. Tripti Tripathi has more.
Australia's young teenagers will soon be spared from endless scrolling online, all thanks to a landmark law passed in November 2024, which will roll out from Wednesday, December 10th. The Online Safety Amendment Social Media Minimum Age Bill 2024 bars children under 16 from having social media account on platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese made a last-ditch push to convince hundreds of thousands of Australian adolescents that the law was for their own good.
You'll know better than anyone what it's like growing up with algorithms, endless speeds, and the pressure that can come with that. That's why we've taken this step to support you.
Many Australian teenagers, though, feel otherwise.
I'm gonna miss like leaks about games, like new games coming out or new things for games that I play. I don't know. Might maybe cry because like losing connection with my friends, with ones that I've talked to, like I've had since I was young, or like ones that I met a couple years after when I was in kindy, pre-primary and stuff.
Government is certain about the imperativeness of weaning the under 16s from the mild screens.
Above all, make the most of the school holidays coming up. Rather than spending it scrolling on your phone, start a new sport, learn a new instrument, or read that book that has been sitting there on your shelf for some time. And importantly, spend quality time with your friends and your family, face to face.
Companies that fail to comply could face penalties of up to $32.8 million. Meta's Instagram, Facebook, and Thread began deactivating accounts from December 4th. The law received harsh criticism from major technology companies but was praised by parents and child advocates.
We'd always regulated media in the public interest, and I think what the government's trying to do is to return some of the public interest. That's a good thing.
I think it cuts kids off from the community more than forcing them back out in real life. I think it just cuts them off from support as well that they could be accessing. So in general, I don't think this is a good thing.
Online discussion site Reddit condemned the social media ban but said it would comply with the landmark crackdown. Governments from Denmark to Malaysia and even some states in the US are planning similar steps. 4 years after a leak of internal Meta documents showed the company knew its products contributed to body image problems and suicidal thoughts among teenagers, while it publicly denied the link existed. With agency inputs, Tripti Tripathi report for DD India.
Canadian leisure carrier Air Transat and its pilots union said on Tuesday they had reached a tentative deal that promised higher pay and better working conditions, averting a potential strike and allowing operations to return to normal. More than 750 pilots at the Montreal-based airline are set to vote on ratifying the agreement in the coming days. Air Transat said its operations were returning to normal after it had started to suspend flights this week following a 72-hour strike notice from ALPA. The union said the new contract delivers on the goals of better job security, enhanced compensation and more flexible schedules to allow for a better work-life balance. The deal averted a second major strike at a Canadian carrier this year. Flight attendants at Air Canada walked off the job in August, halting operations at the country's largest airline for 4 days. Air Transat had previously said it proposed compromises including a 59% salary increase over 5 years and improvements to working conditions. The union and the airline did not provide details of the tentative deal. Now, Saudi Foreign Minister Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud held a phone call with the United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio to discuss ongoing regional and international developments. The Saudi Foreign Ministry in a social media post said the two leaders exchanged views on emerging geopolitical issues and the joint efforts being undertaken by both countries. They also discussed the latest regional and international developments and the efforts being addressed in this regard. The phone call came amid a broader phase of intensified US-Saudi engagement, marked most prominently by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's first visit to the United States in 7 years. Saudi Crown Prince An 18 November meeting with US President Donald Trump set the tone for renewed cooperation, producing a series of announcements with potential implications for regional security and bilateral ties. Moving on to West Asia, Yemen's main southern separatist group is claiming broad control across the south of the country, including in the port city of Aden. Port of Aden has served as the base for Saudi-backed internationally recognized government for a decade. In an apparent major shift in power, the Southern Transitional Council, or STC, said senior figures from other groups had left Aden, including the head of the 8-member body that acts in place of a president and the prime minister. Since 2022, the STC has served in an administration that controls southern areas outside the grip of the Houthis under a Saudi-backed power-sharing initiative. Meanwhile, United Nations chief has condemned the Houthis in Yemen for sending some of the detained UN staff members to a special criminal court.
The United Nations personnel have been held incommunicado, some for many years, without any due process, in violations of international law. United Nations personnel, including those who are nationals of Yemen, are immune from legal process in respect to all acts performed by them in their official capacity. We call on the de facto authorities to rescind the referral and work in good faith towards the immediate release of all UN detained personnel of the United Nations, NGOs, and diplomatic community.
While in Europe, Czech students protested in Prague as President Petr Pavel appointed the billionaire leader of the populist ANO party, Andrej Babiš, as Prime Minister. Protesters took aim at Babiš, moved to name as Environment Minister Filip Turek, the controversial leader of the motorist party, which opposed EU climate and emissions regulations. Babiš will take power from a strongly pro-Ukrainian centre-right administration after his full cabinet is appointed on December 15. In Greece, farmers blocked the border with Bulgaria for several hours over delayed EU aid payments of more than 600 million euros. The delays were prompted by investigations into a corruption scandal in which some farmers, aided by state employees, allegedly faked land ownership to qualify for payouts. Ongoing audits have slowed subsequent disbursements. The government, under criticism over the scandal, has said it was open to discussions and urged farmers to terminate the blockades. Now, a shooting at Kentucky State University on Tuesday left one person dead and another in critical condition. The suspected assailant has been taken into custody. Local police in Frankfurt, the state capital, and county sheriff's deputies made the arrest and secured the campus soon after reports of an active shooter. Governor of Kentucky called the shooting isolated incident, not a mass shooting. There is no ongoing threat to individuals who were critically injured. All right, still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Sisters of former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan protested outside Adiala jail, expressing concerns over his health and safety. EU agrees to legally binding climate target to cut emissions by 90% by 2040. A Nobel Prize Museum unveils These Things Change the World exhibition in Stockholm.
This week on Defence Dynamics, India's battlefield gets a boost with new indigenous unmanned ground vehicles for mine warfare and frontline support. In geopolitics, we decode Asia's most volatile triangle, China, Japan and Taiwan, and why it matters now more than ever. We also ask the central question, shaping Asia's future. What does China really want? And in My Take, we look at Asim Munir's elevation as Pakistan's Chief of Defence Forces and his regional fallout. Catch it all on Defence Dynamics this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. A fierce border battle between Thailand and Cambodia raged for a second day and spread across 5 provinces on Tuesday as both countries accuse each other of shelling civilian areas. Cambodia's influential former Prime Minister Hun Sen said that Cambodian forces responded only after Thailand escalated the conflict. He stated that Phnom Penh had held back from returning fire for 2 days, even as Thailand launched air raids and tank attacks. Cambodia's defense ministry countered that its troops had to defend themselves, accusing Thailand of indiscriminate shelling of civilian areas, allegations Bangkok rejected. Thailand said it would move forward with its military plans, with the foreign minister asserting that Cambodia must demonstrate genuine intent and take the initial step towards easing tensions, dismissing the possibility of outside mediation. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio issued a statement urging an immediate end to the fighting and a return to the de-escalation steps agreed upon at an October summit attended by Trump. Moving on, the sisters of former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan held a protest outside Adiala jail on Tuesday, voicing strong concerns over his health and safety in custody. Uzma Khan and Alima Khan gathered outside the prison gates, expressing serious concerns regarding Imran Khan's health and security. The protest drew several PTI workers who raised concerns about Imran Khan's health and security inside the prison, where he has been detained following convictions in multiple cases. Strict security was deployed around Adiala jail as authorities monitored the demonstration, reflecting heightened tensions between PTI supporters and the government over his detention conditions. The protest comes days after Uzma Khanum met Imran Khan inside Adiala jail on December 2nd. Widespread speculation about his well-being and later claimed the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf chief was facing severe mental torture. Following the interaction, Uzma said Imran Khan was alive but expressed alarm over his physical condition and the conditions in which he is being held. She further stated that Imran Khan blamed Pakistan's Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir for subjecting him to mental torture. Her comments came amid weeks of uncertainty surrounding Imran Khan's well-being and mounting demands from family and party workers for verification of his condition. Amid US-Venezuela spat, Washington is continuing its military build-up in the Caribbean. US Marines were seen mobilizing armored vehicles and all-terrain vehicles they are believed to be positioning in the area for drills. A heightened US military presence has been seen in the Caribbean amid regional tensions. In another dispute, US officials will meet Mexican counterparts over a water dispute. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum expects to reach an agreement. He said that Mexico is limited in delivering more water by the country's own needs under the treaty and by the size of pipeline which transports water to the Rio Grande, which she described as a physical constraint. Earlier, US President Donald Trump accused Mexico of violating a treaty that outlines water sharing between the neighbors and threatened to impose an additional 5% tariff on goods from Mexico if it doesn't immediately provide additional water. Next, we have an update on the crisis in Africa, where AFC M23 officials met in Goma as their commanders accused government forces and Wazalendo militias of sowing chaos in lakeside city of Uvira. Rumors of an approaching rebel column have sparked panic, but M23 fighters have not entered yet. Coordinator Cornel Nanga told a news conference that Burundian troops had withdrawn, that rival Congolese forces were now abandoning the city, leaving civilians to fend for themselves. The violence has escalated just days after the US hosted Rwanda and Congo for a ceremonial signing of a peace pact in Washington. Now, dozens of people in Haiti's capital have been killed following violent clashes within a powerful gang coalition, a local human rights group said on Tuesday. According to the Committee for Peace and Development, among those killed was Dade, while powerful gang leader Kempe Sanan, a former police officer, was injured. Although many worry the clashes that began in recent days could unleash even more violence in a city already 90% controlled by gangs. Sanan and his gang are part of the Viv and Sam coalition, which the US has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. So far, the human rights group has counted at least 49 people killed, burned and mutilated since Monday. Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces have taken control of the strategic Heglig oil field in the South Kordofan province as soldiers have laid down their arms in neighboring South Sudan. The Heglig oil field is near the border with South Sudan in Sudan's southern Kordofan, which has become the epicenter of the Sudanese civil war after the paramilitary rapid support forces took control of the entire Darfur region in the west of the country in October. The RSF hailed the oil field's capture a turning point for the liberation of the entire country, given its economic importance. A former Sudanese minister described the capture of Heglig as a disaster. It was also a blow to South Sudan, which held onto most of Sudan's fossil fuel deposits after seceding from it in 2011. The site houses the main processing facility for South Sudanese oil destined for export. Sudan's war between the army and paramilitary forces has killed tens of thousands of people and displaced 12 million residents, while also devastating the country's infrastructure. French lawmakers narrowly approved the 2026 Social Security budget on Tuesday, handing Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu a crucial victory, but at enormous political and financial cost that could still threaten his fragile government. Lecornu is seeking to get the broadest state budget through Parliament before year-end, but his costly concessions to win socialist support on the Social Security financing bill have alienated allies, left him politically weakened. Lawmakers approved the Social Security bill by a margin of just 13 votes, highlighting the government's precarious position in a divided lower house where no party holds a majority. The approval secures funding for healthcare, pensions and welfare, although it leaves a funding shortfall likely close to 20 billion euros. Budget battles have already toppled three governments since Macron lost his parliamentary majority in a slap election last year, including Michel Barnier's cabinet, which fell to a no-confidence vote over last year's budget. After the vote, the French PM in a social media post said that adopting a budget will be difficult, perhaps even more so than in recent weeks. Now, the European Union agreed late on Tuesday on a legally binding climate target to reduce greenhouse gas emissions 90% by 2040 against 1990 levels and buy foreign carbon credits to cover 5% of the emission cuts. In practice, the target will require an 85% emissions cut from European industries and let countries pay foreign countries to cut emissions on Europe's behalf to make up the rest from 2036. The EU Parliament and EU countries must each give formal approval of the changes to become law, usually a formality that waves through pre-agreed deals. Weather updates now. Falls City, Washington experienced flooding on Tuesday as an atmospheric river brought heavy rainfall to the Pacific Northwest, overwhelming local waterways. The Snoqualmie River spilled far beyond its banks, inundating homes, submerging roads and swamping farmland in the low-lying areas surrounding the community. Emergency crews and residents face challenging conditions as rising water cut off access to parts of the region. On Tuesday morning, the U.S. National Weather Service issued a major flood warning, stating that the Snoqualmie River will cause major flooding from the town of Snoqualmie downstream through Falls City, inundating most of the farmland in the floodplain, some residential areas and many roads. At least 2 people killed and 4 injured when floods swept through Iraq's Kurdistan region. Heavy rain triggered widespread flooding that submerged streets and damaged homes in the Sulaimania province. Emergency teams were deployed to assist stranded residents and assess damage as rainfall continued throughout the day. The Kurdistan regional government urged citizens to avoid low-lying areas and exercise caution amid forecast of additional rain. In other news, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said that foreign companies, including those from the United States, must obey German and EU rules when they operate there. He was responding to US President's criticism of a fine imposed on social media platform X. At a joint press conference with the Armenian Prime Minister, Friedrich Merz said if foreign companies fail to do so, there are of course also possibilities of sanctions in Germany and Europe. Trump described the €120 million fine the European Commission levied on Elon Musk's social media platform for violating European transparency rules as nasty. Merz also said talks with the Armenian Prime Minister had included Germany's response to Armenia's wish to join the EU. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. A Paris raffle will offer a chance to win Picasso's 1941 painting Gouache Tête de Femme for €100 to fund Alzheimer's research. €1 million from ticket sales will go to the painting's owner and the Opera Gallery, while the remaining €11 million will support France's Alzheimer Research Foundation. The winner will be announced next year in April 2026. A large cleanup effort took place in southern England on Tuesday after 8 containers filled with bananas fell from a cargo ship, leaving hundreds of rotting fruits scattered along the coastline. Around 16 containers were lost at sea on Saturday, and since then masses of banana bunches have washed up on the pebble beaches of West Sussex. In Argentina's Clorinda city, a hairdresser has prepared statues for the Day of the Virgin of Cacapue. In the days leading up to the celebration, he and his team washed, dyed and styled the real human hair donated by worshippers for the statues. The tradition honors Paraguay's patron saint, with local devotees joining nighttime processions through the streets. The Nobel Prize Museum in Stockholm is showcasing an exhibition called These Things Changed the World, which includes over 250 items donated by Nobel Prize laureates celebrating their remarkable accomplishments. Among these, around 25 artifacts have been contributed by Japanese Nobel Prize winners over the years. All right, still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. President Draupadi Murmu to lead Human Rights Day celebrations in New Delhi. India and EU conclude two-day talks on free trade agreement, set sights on finalizing deal by early 2026. And NIA arrests 8th accused in deadly Delhi car blast case linked to Red Fort attack conspiracy.
Dr. Shashi Tharoor, welcome to Moscow. How crucial was Russia's support in India's early decades?
Mr. Khrushchev, in particular, opened up Indo-Soviet relations phenomenally. They helped India in everything from setting up the Bhilai steel plant to the whole business of cooperating with India's space programs. All sorts of things happened. The extraordinary success of the BrahMos missile. The Bra comes from the Indian Brahma and the Mos comes from Moscow.
Welcome to DD India, where a billion voices unite, connecting viewers to the stories that matter. India is not just another news channel. It's the international channel that puts the spotlight on the global south, bringing you stories from the heart of emerging economies, dynamic cultures, and transformative voices. As the international news channel of India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati, DD India delivers high-quality content from every corner of the globe, focusing on the stories that shape our future. We don't just report news. We connect you to India's voice in the global narrative. From current affairs to culture, from economic growth to sustainable development, and the ever-evolving world order, DD India gives you a comprehensive view of the world around us. Stay connected, stay informed, and embrace the stories that shape our lives. DD India. India's voice to the world.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Recap of our top stories. Zelenskyy says Ukraine is ready to hold new elections, will send revised peace proposals to Washington within a day. Australia ban on social media for children under 16 kicks in with varied reactions. PM Albanese says it will protect their childhood. Cambodia vows fierce response in ongoing dispute with Thailand. Thailand says Cambodia would have to show sincerity and make the first move to de-escalate. Government orders IndiGo to cut flight operations by 10%, aimed at stabilizing the airline's operations and reducing cancellations. And India crushed South Africa by 101 runs in Cuttack to go 1-0 up in the 5-match T20I series. The Civil Aviation Ministry on Tuesday ordered IndiGo to reduce its flight schedule by 10% as it would help the crisis-ridden airline to stabilize operations. The Minister, Ram Mohan Naidu, summoned CEO Peter Elbers again on Tuesday to get an update. He confirmed that 100% of the refunds for flight affected till 6 December have been completed. A strict instruction to expedite the completion of the remaining refunds and baggage handover was given. However, the most significant decision was curtailment of overall IndiGo routes to help stabilize the airline's operations and lead to reduced cancellations. Thus, a curtailment of 10% has been ordered. While abiding with it, IndiGo will continue to cover all its destinations as before. Further, IndiGo has been instructed to comply with all the directives of the ministry, including fare capping and passenger convenience measures without any exception. The National Human Rights Commission is celebrating Human Rights Day today, with President Draupadi Murmu gracing the event to be held at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi as the chief guest. The event will bring together government officials, diplomats, civil society members, human rights defenders and experts. The NHRC is also organizing a national conference on the theme ensuring everyday essentials, public services and dignity for all. Aligned with this year's UN Human Rights Day theme, Everyday Essentials, Dr. P.K. Mishra, Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, will deliver the keynote address. The Commission said the theme highlights the importance of essential public services such as healthcare, education, housing, justice and social protection in ensuring dignity and equality. Earlier, NHRC Chairperson Justice V. Ramasubramaniam, in a conversation with DD India's Tanvi Taneja, opined that human rights violations can be committed by both state and non-state actors.
The explosion of information technology, digital technology, new genre of rights have come up. People have realized right to privacy. Science and technology, people realize that I have a right to die peacefully. I don't want to undergo this treatment, euthanasia. So these are scientific challenges which have started coming up, and people have different views. There is no unanimity of view on some of these new genre of rights, new generation rights.
So you think that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights sooner or later will have to incorporate these new genre of rights?
They will have to reinvent itself. We will have to reinvent ourselves to take care of these new genre of rights.
Further, Justice V. Ramasubramaniam stressed the need for the UN to adapt the Universal Declaration of Human Rights with a new generation of rights.
Human rights violations take place not merely at the instance of the state actors but also at the instance of non-state actors. This, as a lawyer and as a judge, I have watched very closely for about 40 years when my journey started in the legal field. So what it signifies to me is that people should learn to respect other people's rights. That is why the Universal Declaration of Human Rights itself says the purpose of this document is to encourage people to respect each other's rights. If we don't respect each other's rights, you cannot enforce your own rights.
The winter session of India's Parliament will witness various discussions. In the lower house, after question hour and 0 hour, a discussion on electoral reforms is scheduled, on which final remarks will be given by Home Minister Amit Shah. While following the discussion in the lower house, a discussion on the 150th anniversary of the national song Vande Mataram is scheduled in the upper house for today. The discussion on Vande Mataram in the upper house will be concluded by JP Nadda. Although there were several instances of disruptions by the opposition during the discussions in both the houses, with several heated exchanges taking place. The good news, however, is that the proceedings in both houses continued smoothly. All right, DD India's Debyendu Mondal joins us for more. Good morning, Debyendu. What do we expect in the Parliament today apart from discussion on 150 years of Vande Mataram?
Well, good morning, Abhishek. You know, as you said, the good news is that the Parliament proceedings are sailing smoothly, unlike what we witnessed during the monsoon session. So therefore, you know, since the beginning of this week, we are seeing and in fact witnessing heated debates in both the houses of Parliament, including both the Lok Sabha as well as the Rajya Sabha. The Lok Sabha on Monday took up the discussion on the 150 years of Vande Mataram. And yesterday, the discussion on the 150 years of Vande Mataram began in the upper house, which is the Rajya Sabha, led by Union Home Minister Amit Shah. He did lash out at the Congress for deleting certain paragraphs and how the then president of the Congress or the first Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, ceded to the demands of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, which ultimately led to the partition. But the debate would continue even today in the upper house, where we are expected to see the BJP National President and Union Health Minister, JP Nadda, who is also the floor leader of the Rajya Sabha, giving a response to all the remarks that have been made by the opposition yesterday throughout the day during the course of the debate. While in the lower house of Parliament, which is the Lok Sabha, the debate which began yesterday post-noon on the electoral reforms and the special intensive review of electoral rolls that have been undertaken by the Election Commissioner would continue with that debate even today. Remember, 10 hours have been allocated for both the debates in both the houses of Parliament. So therefore, once the Lok Sabha concludes this debate today with the final remarks being made by Union Home Minister Amit Shah, this electoral reform debate would move on to Rajya Sabha expectedly by tomorrow. So therefore, the Parliament is expecting to function smoothly throughout the remaining period of the winter session, given the fact that, the debates and discussions that had been demanded by the opposition, the government is holding those discussions on the floor of both the houses of Parliament. So therefore, we are expecting to see, once again, heated exchanges in both the houses of Parliament with the respective slated debates that are expected to begin post-noon, once again after the question hour and the 0 hour is over by about 12:30 in the afternoon.
All right, Debyendu, thank you for the time being, but yes, we'll keep taking updates from you. Moving on, Italian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Antonio Tajani arrived in New Delhi on Wednesday for his second visit to India this year, highlighting the steady momentum in diplomatic exchanges between the two countries. His engagements in Delhi and Mumbai will further strengthen India-Italy strategic partnership. During the visit, the Italian FM will meet his India counterpart Dr. S. Jaishankar in New Delhi today before proceeding to Mumbai for official engagements on Thursday. The visit comes shortly after a series of high-level interactions between the two nations. On November 23rd, Prime Minister Modi and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni met on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Johannesburg, where both leaders discussed expanding collaboration across key sectors including trade, investment, defense, innovation, AI, space and education. India and the US Foreign Office consultations were co-chaired by Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri and US Under Secretary of State Alison Hooker in New Delhi on Tuesday. The consultations provided an opportunity for a comprehensive review of India-US Comprehensive Global Strategic Partnership. The two sides discussed key bilateral issues including trade and investment, defense cooperation, the Trust Initiative, energy cooperation, including civil nuclear collaboration, technology, critical minerals, and trusted supply chains. The discussions also covered regional and global developments of mutual interest, with both sides underscoring their shared commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific. Both sides also welcomed the steady progress across existing dialogue mechanisms and agreed to give momentum to the implementation of catalyzing opportunities for military partnership, accelerated commerce and technology, or compact for 21st century to drive transformative cooperation across key pillars of the partnership. A two-day marathon discussion between India and the European Union concluded in New Delhi on Tuesday, providing strategic guidance to the teams negotiating a bilateral free trade agreement. EU's Commissioner for Trade and Economic Security, Maroš Šefčovič, held meetings with India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman during his two-day visit. Šefčovič's visit took place against the backdrop of the technical discussions held from 3rd to 9 December in New Delhi across key chapters of India-EU FTA covering market access for goods, rules of origin, services, technical barriers to trade and sustainable development. Two sides look forward to continued cooperation towards a mutually beneficial India-EU FTA, which they aim to finalize at the most by the first quarter of 2026. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday congratulated Andrej Babiš on his appointment as the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic following October's parliamentary election. In a post on social media platform X, Prime Minister Modi wrote, and I quote him here, "Congratulations, Excellency Andrej Babiš, on your appointment as Prime Minister of the Czech Republic. I look forward to working with you to further strengthen the cooperation and friendship between India and Czechia." India and Brazil signed a landmark tripartite MOU between Indian Navy, Brazilian Navy and Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders Limited on Tuesday. During the ongoing visit of Indian Navy Chief Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi to Brazil, the two sides signed the MOU on exchange of information related to maintenance of Scorpene-class submarines and other naval vessels. The MOU will enhance life cycle support, enable experience sharing in maintenance, logistics and training, and strengthen cooperation between government agencies and industry of both nations. The MOU will further boost defence R&D collaboration and drive technological innovation in sustaining Scorpene-class submarines and other naval platforms. Now, Goa police on Tuesday detained Ajay Gupta, one of the 4 owners of nightclub where a devastating fire claimed the lives of 25 persons. The state police had earlier issued a lookout circular against Gupta and another owner, Surinder Kumar Khosla. Gupta is the 6th person to be held in connection with the case. He will soon be placed under arrest after the completion of formalities to bring him to Goa. 2 more owners of the nightclub, Saurabh Luthra and Gaurav Luthra, are on the run and a blue corner notice has been issued against them. The police have so far arrested 5 persons, including nightclub's chief general manager. 25 persons were killed in the fire at a nightclub in Arpora in North Goa around midnight on Saturday. Moving on, Belgium's Supreme Court, the Court of Cassation on Tuesday rejected the appeal of fugitive diamond trader Mehul Choksi challenging the extradition request of India in connection with 130 billion Indian rupees alleged bank fraud in Punjab National Bank. With the appeal dismissed, officials confirmed that the extradition order can now be executed subject to the completion of the necessary formalities. Choksi, who escaped to Antigua and Barbuda in January 2018, days before the scam was detected, was spotted in Belgium where he had purportedly sought treatment. Choksi arrested in Antwerp in April 2025 after India sent an extradition request to Belgium based on arrest warrants issued by a special court in Mumbai. The Antwerp Court of Appeal had upheld India's request for Choksi's extradition while terming it enforceable. In another breakthrough in the deadly Delhi car blast case, the National Investigation Agency on Tuesday arrested the 8th accused. The accused, identified as Dr. Bilal Nasir Malla, a resident of Jammu and Kashmir's Baramulla, was nabbed by NIA team from Delhi. The NIA has found Bilal's involvement in the conspiracy behind the terrorist attack in the Red Fort area on November 10. As per NIA investigations, Bilal had knowingly harbored the deceased accused Umar Nabi by providing him logistical support. He is also accused of destruction of evidence related to the terrorist attack. The NIA is continuing with its investigation into the conspiracy behind the deadly blast. The anti-terror agency is working closely with various central and state agencies to unravel all the threads of the conspiracy. India's Electronics and Information Technology Minister Ashwini Vaishnav on Tuesday met with Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella in New Delhi to discuss the role of artificial intelligence in public welfare, emerging technologies and the importance of data sovereignty. In a post on social media platform X, the minister said the meeting focused on expanding India's technological capabilities and leveraging AI to improve governance and citizen services. He said, and I quote him, Microsoft's landmark investment reflects India's rise as a reliable global technology partner. This partnership will drive the country's leap from digital to AI public infrastructure, unquote. The Indian Information and Technology Minister also met Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan in New Delhi on Tuesday. In a social media post, the minister said that Intel is committed to be part of Bharat's semiconductor journey. He added that Intel has entered into a strategic alliance with Tata to support the nation's silicon and compute ecosystem. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Fed set to deliver third straight rate cut amid data delays from US government shutdown. In sports, Liverpool edge Inter Milan 1-0 in Champions League clash despite Salah's absence. And Lionel Messi wins second straight Major League Soccer Most Valuable Player award after title-winning season. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Business updates now. The Federal Reserve is poised to deliver its third straight interest rate cut and its guidance for 2026 on Wednesday. This week's policy gathering is among the most closely watched in recent years. Fed may take key interest rate down to a range of 3.5% to 3.75%. For now, economists expect the Fed to hold rates steady at its next meeting on January 27-28. The US Central Bank will have to make its decision without some key government data. Hiring data for November and the latest inflation number have been delayed until mid-December after the Fed's meeting because of the US government shutdown. Just a few days after introducing White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett as a potential Federal Reserve chair, US President still will be meeting with a couple of candidates to replace Jerome Powell.
Will you be holding a final round of interviews for Fed chair this week? There was a report that you'd be meeting with Fed Governor
We're going to be looking at a couple of different people, but I have a pretty good idea who I want.
Waiting for Federal Reserve's policy announcement, global stock markets ended on a mixed note. In the US, the Dow opened higher but closed lower, while the Nasdaq reversed early losses to end the day in the green. Europe's main markets were also mixed, while Asia ended the day mostly lower. Nvidia slipped 0.3% after Monday's gains linked to changes in AI chip export rules. Warner Brothers Discovery advanced 3.8%, Paramount Skydance rose 0.5%, while Netflix dipped 0.1%. JP Morgan Chase fell 4.7% after indicating his 2026 expenses may reach $105 billion higher than projected. Alright, sports updates now. We'll start with cricket. India's men's cricket team started their T20I series campaign against South Africa with a clinical win in the first T20I in Cuttack on Tuesday. India's bowling attack produced an all-round performance to bowl South Africa out for 74 runs in 12.3 overs to set up 101-run victory. Arshdeep Singh, Jasprit Bumrah, Varun Chakravarti and Akshar Patel all hunted in a pack, claiming 2 wickets apiece. Earlier, Hardik Pandya smashed an unbeaten 59 to power India to 175 for 6 wickets in 20 overs. Akshar Patel scored 23, while Tilak Varma struggled to get going, only managing 26 of 32 balls after India were reduced to 48 for 3 in 7 overs. India go 1-0 up in 5-match series. Both teams clash again on Thursday in New Chandigarh. The Indian women's squad for the home 5-match T20I series against Sri Lanka was announced on Tuesday, with 2 promising youngsters receiving their maiden senior team call-up. G. Kamlini and Vaishnavi Sharma, both part of India's under-19 Women's T20 World Cup winning squad, were named in 15-member team. Harmanpreet Kaur will lead the side, with Smriti Mandhana named as her deputy. The 5-match series will begin on December 21st in Visakhapatnam. This will be India's first T20I assignment since lifting their maiden ODI World Cup trophy last month. On to FIH Hockey Junior Women's World Cup 2025. The Indian junior women's hockey team defeated Uruguay 3-1 in shootout after an intense 1-1 draw. In their 9-12 qualification match in Santiago on Tuesday, Manisha was the goal scorer for India, while Justina Arege scored the equalizer for Uruguay. India emerged victorious in shootout 3-1 as Purnima Yadav, Ishika and Kanika Sivach scored from their takes, and goalkeeper Nidhi denied Uruguay thrice to ensure her team progressed ahead in the tournament. India will next play Spain on Thursday in the 9-10th place match. Liverpool brushed off the absence of Mohamed Salah with a 1-0 Champions League victory over Inter Milan in San Siro. Tuesday's win puts Liverpool on 12 points from 6 games and inside the top 8 positions, which offer direct qualification for the last 16 ahead of Wednesday's fixtures. Inter, meanwhile, are 5th on the same tally but have lost their last 2 European fixtures and created nearly nothing against an injury-hit Liverpool, who were missing not just star Salah but also unfit Cody Gakpo, Federico Chiesa and Wataru Endo. Now, Lionel Messi won his 2nd consecutive Major League Soccer Most Valuable Player award on Tuesday after sparking Inter Miami to the MLS title and leading the league in goals. Messi became the first player to win back-to-back MVP awards and only the 2nd MLS player to capture 2 MVP awards overall after Preke in 1997 and 2003. The 38-year-old forward, who led Argentina to 2022 World Cup crown, scored 29 goals in the regular season and set up 19 others to claim the MLS Golden Boot. Messi, who signed a 3-year contract extension with Miami in October, also became only the 2nd player to lead the league in regular season goals and assists, joining Toronto's Sebastian Gionvinco in 2015. The 33rd Southeast Asian Games 2025 commenced in style with a vibrant opening ceremony at the Rajmangala National Stadium in Bangkok, Thailand. Thailand opened the 33rd Southeast Asian Games on Tuesday night with a ceremony. The ceremony, with its central theme, "We Are One," began with drones soaring above the stadium, first forming the Games emblem and then a series of numbers representing key figures of the Games. Highlights also included underwater ballet, jet ski and flyboard stunts. 13,000 athletes from 11 Southeast Asian nations are set to compete across 50 medal spots ranging from Olympic to traditional sports. The Games will be held from December 9 to December 20th, with some sports such as football, baseball and badminton already underway. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.